the previous episode, I showed my trip from Montana to North Idaho. In this one, I'm going to show a little bit of the return trip. Sandpoint, Idaho, super nice little town. And let me tell you, people really stop for you when you want to cross the road there. And if you ever visit Sandpoint, I highly recommend City Beach Organics Restaurant. Really good food. On the shores of Lake Ponderay, Sandpoint, Idaho also has its own Statue of Liberty. It was a gift to the city from the Turner family in 2003. Hi, you wouldn't know it, but I am back in Montana, just barely. Behind me is the Clark Fork River. It's quite chilly out here, and there are a lot of bald eagles flying around. I wish you could see them. I just wanted to announce that I have pulled a name from the knitflix Mal chatter thread to win this gorgeous package of yarn for shorty socks that Cappy at the Yarn Eye sent to all three of us, to Wendy of Baba Yaya, to Linda at Joey's Scarf, and to me to add to our giveaway. And I so much appreciate it, Cappy. Thank you so much. Really generous of you. They're beautiful little sets. And so the winner is Jan of Jan's Crafty Crochet. She lives in Guernsey near Great Britain. So congratulations, Jan. I will be sending this out to you, and I hope you enjoy making a pair of socks with it. And here's just some of the pretty scenery I saw on my way home. I saw a moose cross the road on my way through here. I wish I could have gotten a picture of it. Hi, we're back at the Cabinet Mountains. It's been a much longer drive this time. The roads are rather ice covered, so it's been a slow one. So I thought I would take a break and talk about a new project I started while I was visiting my daughter. I started another flax light sweater. I haven't got very far. It's top down. But would you take a look at that beautiful, beautiful yarn? This is Lolo Did It. It's called Ugly Sweater. There's nothing ugly about that. Yeah, so we'll see how far I get with this by the end of this podcast. Hi. So David of David Dog Dare has a dare going on, a dare along. He was very brave to sing a Christmas carol on his last podcast. And I thought that was very, very cool of him. And I entered his dare along, and I told him I was practicing the harmonica. I am teaching myself basically by watching some YouTube videos. So this is for you, David. I should have prefaced that by saying you could move along in this segment if you wanted to, and told you that it wasn't going to be very exciting. But anyway, it has been fun learning. So thanks for the dare along, David. It's been nice. Hi. I am back in Montana and in my own backyard. Today is March 15th, it's Thursday, and it is the end of our knitflix make-along. Tomorrow, Wendy of Baba Yaya and Linda of Joey's Scarf and I will be doing a live podcast on YouTube. Gosh, my glasses are steaming up. To announce our knitflix make-along winners, and we will contact everyone on Ravelry, so if you don't watch right away, you will find out pretty quickly if you've won or not. So that will happen tomorrow. And as you can see, it's still pretty snowy out here. It is warming up. It's 33 right now, but I think we're supposed to get up to maybe 40 today, so we have had a little bit of melting. I'm hoping at some point, maybe by the next time I podcast next month, you might see daffodils behind me. Maybe not. Kim planted, I think, about 80 daffodils in the backyard last fall, and the deer are supposed to not eat them. He planted some in the front yard when the first year we moved in here, and the deer did not eat those. It took them a while to come up, first time bulbs and everything, but they did. So let's get to some knitting. I recently did a test knit. This is the first time I've done a test knit for anybody. I volunteered for Wendy at Baba Yaya. She had a test knit for her Hugs and Kisses, Hugs and Kisses Girls beanie. So I decided to jump on that and that little bandwagon, or jump on board with that. And here is the first one I finished. It's for a young child, or a child's hat. I think hers fit her like her 10-year-old granddaughter. It's really cute. There's some color work on it. It takes a size 0 needle, which I did not have in a circular, so I actually knit this on double point needles, which worked. I would recommend the circulars if you have them. I think that would make it easier. I love this pattern. I think it's super cute. So this one will be for my granddaughter Hayden, and I decided to go ahead and make a second one for my grandson Prairie. We are due to visit my son's family, soon, in the next week or two, and so these will be, I plan on these being a little early Easter present for my grandchildren. I think they're really cute. She calls it a girl's beanie, but I figured, why not make it in blue, and then it's for a boy too, right? Why not? I think it's super cute. I really like it. I did make a little mistake with the pattern, and so I did do a duplicate stitch on it to correct that mistake. It doesn't look fantastic, but it'll work. I think it'll work just fine. Another thing I made is this cowl. It's called Because I'm Happy. That's a great name for a cowl, isn't it? Because I'm Happy. Isn't that pretty? Jan at Jan's Crafty Crochet sent me this yarn. We did a little round robin in the Linda's podcast, Joey Scarf podcast. She had a stocking make along, and so Jan sent her package to me, and this was part of it. This yarn is super bulky. It's called Plump by Mrs. Moon. Really pretty. I love the pattern. Jan sent the pattern along with it, and so I decided to go ahead and use the yarn she sent and use that pattern, and I think it turned out really pretty. I did have to learn one new thing for it. I had to learn how to do a cable cast on, which has nothing to do with cabling, so I don't know why it's called that, but I really like the way it looked. I think it's really pretty. I think it turned out really nicely to do a cable cast on. I'm just going to leave that on because it is kind of chilly out here. I am also doing, I've never done one of these before, but I am participating in a mystery knit-along. People have said whether they like the mystery knit-alongs or not. Some say they don't like it because they like to wait until after the knit-along is over to see if they're actually going to enjoy the item they're knitting. But this one is by GK Green, and I have knit one of her wraps before, and this is called the Chrysalis Wrap, and it's called the Classic Murder Mystery Knit-Along. So you get this whole story about a murder that happens on a train, and it's called the Once Upon a Train, The Case of the Curious Knitter. There are 5 chapters in it, and this is what I have finished so far. And I like the way the mystery knit along comes out. She leaves about 2 weeks between each section, so you have, to me, it seems like it gives you ample time to get through the first each section. I think the first section, and then I'll continue knitting. The next section just came out today, so if you still want to join, there's plenty of time. She's just put out the second section, came out just today in my email. So it's not, it's not that far along. But I thought I thought, why not? I love a good mystery, so I thought that would be fun to join in on that. And this yarn is from Bigfoot Fibers. It is called Apple Blossom, and it really makes me think of spring, which is kind of necessary right now, right? Another make-along I'm entering is Linda at Joey's Scarf is doing a 2nd annual memory make-along, I think she's calling it. It goes until April 4th, I believe. You can look up in her Ravelry group, Joey's Scarf. She's doing it in memory of her son Joe who died 6 years ago of colon cancer. And she doesn't have a lot of rules in it, and I have decided to do the sockhead cowl. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. I have had this yarn for a while, and I thought it was gorgeous, and didn't really want it on my feet because I wanted to show it off. This is Spotted Dog Blue Studio Yacarino, and I don't think there was a colorway on it, which is kind of odd. It is 70% merino, 20% yak, and 10% nylon. And she's having us, the knit along, the idea of the knit along is to knit in memory of someone that's passed. The only people that are really close to me that have passed in my life are my parents, and they passed many, many years ago. I was in my mid-30s when my dad died, and my mom passed away about 15 years ago. So I decided, due to recent events, that I would knit this in memory of all the pets I've had that have passed, and there's been quite a few of them. But anyway, Linda has kept the rules really quite open, so if you want to join in on that make-along, I'm sure you could get in on that pretty easily. Also, if you watched my previous podcasts, you know that my daughter is going to have another baby boy. So I started a Gramps cardigan. This pattern is from Tin Can Knits. I believe it's a free pattern on Ravelry. It comes with a ton of sizes. I'm doing the size 6 months to a year for him. We don't have a name for this baby yet, or she doesn't have a name for it, and I don't know of the name they've chosen. They're still working that out. I can't tell you what the yarn is on this one because it was gifted to me. I'm hoping that it is some kind of synthetic yarn, so this will easily go in the washer and dryer for her. But I think this will be really cute. He is due July 3rd or 4th or something like that. So by 6 months, he'll be ready. He'll be ready for a sweater for winter. I don't have a huge amount of little history segment for you this time. One of my cats is here bugging me. But today is the March 15th, as I said, and it is known as the Ides of March. The Ides of March originally, the old Roman calendar, March actually landed at the very beginning, as in our January. And so March 15th was celebrated as their New Year's celebration with a lot of drinking and eating, and also it was a time when people would settle their debts. But in 44 BC, it became known as the day when Cleopatra's lover, Julius Caesar, was murdered by his friends, which can give you some idea of why people would say, beware the Ides of March. And since St. Patrick's Day is coming up so quickly on Saturday, I did a little research into that. St. Patrick's Day, the history of it was actually written by St. Patrick himself, who lived in the 4th century. He was a young man in Great Britain, and he was kidnapped by Irishmen, taken to Ireland, and worked there as a slave for 6 years, and then heard a message from God telling him to escape and go back to Britain, which he did. He became a priest in Britain and called himself St. Patrick, or called himself Patrick, probably not St. Patrick yet, called himself Patrick, heard another message from God telling him to go back to Ireland and to preach Christianity to the pagans there, which he did. The story of St. Patrick driving the snakes from Ireland, that was an analogy to him preaching the gospel to the Druids. There were never any snakes in Ireland. Also, he used the clover. That's why it's so popular along with St. Patrick's Day. He used the clover to teach the Trinity to the pagans, and he died on St. Patrick's Day. Also, St. Patrick's Day was not really that popular in Ireland. It was more popular with Irish people who lived outside of Ireland. And it became known for a day of revelry and drinking, supposedly due to the fact that on that one day they would lift Lent so that people could imbibe in their activities for one day. So that's pretty much makes it clear why that happened. Also, I haven't really talked about any podcasts I've been watching lately, but I have been watching some new ones. I've been watching Becky, and her podcast is Socks for Mum. She lives in Colorado. She does some sock pattern designing. A new podcaster is Austen in the UK. called Biff Sugar Podcast. I think it's always nice to support new podcasters. One that's been around for a while, but I just recently saw, is Kina in Las Vegas, and it's the She's Crafty podcast. She loves bright colors like I do, and she's a lot of fun to watch. Also, I've been watching Lisa, Saratoga Knitting, or Knitting by the Sea. She lives in Boston, not in Boston, but near Boston. And she's a great knitter, and I love listening to her voice. It's so nice and calming. So you might check out some of those. Also, at the beginning of this podcast, I mentioned that I was starting a new Flaxlight sweater for myself and that I would show my progress. So this sweater is going to be very similar to the one I have on, which has been striped with some of my favorite sock yarns. And I have reached the point of the sleeve separation in this one. As I said, the first yarn is Lolo Did It's Ugly Sweater. Nothing ugly about that. And the second yarn is from Hannah Made It, and it's Costumes and Cocktails. So pretty. So pretty. I think I'm really going to enjoy that sweater. I can always use more sweaters around here, obviously. Also, in case anybody is interested, a few podcasts ago I showed the cold frame / greenhouse that Kim built, and yes, it has made it through the winter. It's made it through just fine. He has actually started using it to put some seedlings in during the day when there's enough sun out. It actually gets up to 80 degrees in there when the sun is out, which is not today. It's not going to be clear and pretty today. I thought I'd also show what I've been reading lately. Gosh, I've read all of these before at one time or another, but sometimes you just like to go back and read the classics. This is Jane Austen, the complete novels. And yeah, it's a big thick book, but it's been a lot of fun to read. A couple of them, as everyone probably knows, like Pride and Prejudice and Emma, have been made into movies, so I've enjoyed watching those also. Sometimes you're just in the mood for Jane Austen, right? all that romantic stuff, and I love the way she writes, and I love the way people speak. It seems like, gosh, speech used to be such an important part of life, speech and writing. And I think with the internet and all of that and social media, we've kind of, well, at least I have kind of dropped off on keeping up at all with any of that stuff. And I wish it weren't so sometimes. We all seem to speak so quickly, and everything seems to be compressed into short little sentences, and it doesn't seem like time is taken to think things through before we actually say them. And I'm as guilty as the next person. Some reading that I've been enjoying, I like to listen to books on tape while I knit. And one of my guilty pleasures is MC Beaton, especially the Hamish Macbeth and the Agatha Raisin mysteries. Yeah, they're kind of like potato chip novels, but I really enjoy listening to both of those. So be sure to watch for our live video tomorrow. It probably won't be very long, but like I say, Wendy and Linda and I will get on YouTube together and announce the winners of our make-along, our knitflix make-along, which has been fun, and I hope people have enjoyed it. I think they have. It's been fun putting that on. And other than that, not much has been going on here other than trying to watch the snow melt every day a little bit. Also, I want to remind everyone that the show notes will be below the YouTube video and in my Ravelry group, Victoria Knits. You can find me on Ravelry as Victoria Jean and on Instagram as Victoria Jean W. And thumbs ups and subscribers are always appreciated. I've had a few new subscribers lately, so thanks for signing up. Thanks for watching. Thanks to everyone who comes back. I really appreciate it. So as usual, goodbye from Montana. See you next month. Thanks for watching. We said goodbye to our little dog Chelsea last month. She'd been with us for about 17 and a half years. She was probably around 19 years old. My son brought her home to us when she was around 2 because she was about to be sent to the pound, and he thought she was such a great little dog. She was a great little dog. We loved having her. And on a happier note, my grandson, Russell, almost 2 years old.
Russell.
Beak.
Good job. Good job.
Red.
Yeah.
Yellow.
Good job.
Purple.
Good job. How about this one?
Okay.
Good job. Good job.
Blue.
No.
Pink.
Good job. Good job, Blue.
Peach.
Good job, Peach, bud.
Russell doing a good job. You say cheese?
Cheese.
Michael Alderson.